everybody. I am going to be hosting this episode of our little status update / movie review.
Movie review. Bah!
Well, bam! Fun episode we got for you guys. We got a follow-up to A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place Part 2, the sequel. We all watched it. And
we all watched it together at the same time. We were in the same room participating in a moment.
We were practically the same person. So it was an experience. It was great.
That's actually a lie.
Okay.
Why are you doing?
I want to be truthful. We saw it at different places, not different times, but different places.
Okay, this guy over
None
here.
of us were in the same
I cannot tell a lie. Not to our viewers.
I have to be truthful to the viewers.
Not on a status update. God forbid. Oh man,
they'll see right through our lies.
Well, yeah. So this is. I'm pretty hyped to talk about this a little bit. So, let's jump into it. Let's get some ratings right off the bat. So
sure.
Oh boy.
Out of 13, let's kind of start with Adam and go on down the line. Like, what did we think?
Yeah, just quick thoughts. I thought the movie started super strong.
Yeah.
It captivated me from the first moment. I'm not fixing
That's illegal, by the way. For a movie to captivate.
Really?
Yeah, no, that's like heinous. It's actually horrible that you said that.
Oh, yeah, it's a war crime. I'll tell you what. Can you believe John Krasinski captivated those people?
Oh, Jim from The Office? I always thought he was such a good guy.
He's not.
He's a freaking animal, man.
I'll let him captivate me every day of the week.
Yeah, with that beard, hey, why not?
With that beard. But yeah, the first, I would say... I don't know, not that it got any worse or whatever, but for some reason, just the prequel part, then leading up to this is spoiler free, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, We're staying spoiler free.
Let's stay
some things happening in the first 30 minutes that were super surprising and kind of expectation twisting, and the rest of the movie was really good too. But for some reason, just the first little bit of the movie really captivated me. I really liked the choices that were made. It was really intense, just like the first movie. Honestly, all around, I didn't think it was a worse experience. I don't think it was a better experience either. And I think for different reasons, I feel a similar quality from both movies. So I'm actually going to match my previous one, which was a 10, and also give this one a 10. It did different things. It was different experiences, but the intensity was about the same for me. And yeah, it was a really, really fun, really good, intense movie.
It's great in a theater.
Absolutely. Really good in a theater.
Yeah. Everybody's like, I know they've made a whole big deal about this is the movie to bring you back to a theater. And sometimes it's like, I don't buy into the hype of that. I understand if you're feeling hesitant about that. But I would genuinely say if you haven't been to a movie in a while, this is a really good reason to go back to the theater. Yeah. It was really good in that setting. I guess the time is. Were you going to go next? I kind of jumped in a little.
No,
bit.
You're good. You go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, I think. I do think sort of the opening was probably the strongest part, but the unfortunate part about that is. They had to give something to the marketing team to show like the general audiences, right. And they gave all stuff from like that opening like 10-20 minutes or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I very much knew what to expect from the opening. Nothing really snuck up on me. I was pretty prepared for everything. And then luckily the rest of the movie wasn't like used in the marketing at all.
Yeah,
so I was free to
anything.
Yeah, I was free to be totally surprised by the rest of the movie.
Right.
So things I'm going to commend the movie for right out of the gate. There's a version of this movie where the sequel focuses on all the wrong things. You know what I mean? We've seen it in a lot of franchises where the second movie in the franchise is immediately focused on the wrong aspect of something. For instance, when we covered the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies, the second movie in that trilogy really felt like the director was like, yeah, I know what you liked from the first one, but he guessed all the wrong stuff.
Yeah, I know what you liked from the first movie. But you didn't.
So luckily we have John Krasinski coming back, making a movie that interests him. So the stuff that was great about the first movie comes back in that it's a small personal story.
Yeah.
It's simple,
Yeah.
it's lean, it's efficient, and it's about how do you survive in a world that's so hostile.
Right.
Sure.
So it's really strong in that regard. It feels like a sequel to the first movie, like a true continuation of the first movie because it's so similar in what it's exploring and what it's saying. I will say my biggest disappointment with this movie, you know what? It's actually, this is going to start as kind of a compliment. John Krasinski doubled down on the sound in this movie.
Yeah.
The sound design of the first one was incredible. This one takes it even a step further, I think.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think that actually led to the movie being less scary.
Okay, yeah.
I think the sound design tips its hat way too quickly, if that makes any sense. Like, the sound design very quickly establishes, like, hey, something's going on, and you have time to prepare for it, and you're not as scared as the first one. Also, like, the silence of the first one isn't present in this movie. There's actual dialogue. There's a lot of characters actually talking to each other.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you can't do the silent thing forever, and you have to explore how do people who don't know sign language survive in this world.
Right.
So it was going to happen eventually, but I was surprised by how much that changed the experience for me.
Yeah.
That the silence wasn't there to make me, tense up. The fact that there was talking and dialogue, and there was a lot more music in this one too. Marco Beltrami, the composer, did an amazing job. The music is gorgeous. I think he did the first one as well. He nailed both of them. But the fact that there's so much more sound in this one really, I think, took some of the scares out of it. So if you're expecting a more frightening experience or a more tense experience than the first, I wouldn't necessarily put it in that category. It's got its tension, it's got its frights, but it's almost like Alien and Aliens, right?
Yeah.
It's like the sequel doesn't need to be some terrifying... It doesn't need to be the same level of terror as the first one.
Yeah.
It just needs to be a worthy follow-up, and we'll be happy. So I very much put it in that category. All that being said, I believe I gave the first one a 12 in our review. I am going to back off a little bit on this one, and I'm going to give it an 11.5.
Oh,
That's...
tough blow. Tough blow.
It was going to be an 11, but then I realized it's nothing to do with the quality of the film. It's everything to do with just my expectations not quite being met.
Sure.
Right.
That being said, really well directed, well written. The acting is incredible. I mean, the kid actors are awesome, but I'm just going to call out Cillian Murphy, who continues to be like the most consistently amazing and yet somehow still underrated actor in the game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He is incredible in this movie. He's not even the main character, and he's going to be most of what I remember from this movie. He's so good.
yeah.
To see sort of... Yeah, I don't want to get into it, because this is a movie where the less you know, the better about the plot, but Cillian Murphy really did something... He was not playing a character I would have imagined him playing.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. So, yeah. That's... I said a lot of positive things, said a couple of negative things. Sure. 11.5.
Very nice. Yeah, for me, this definitely was, this is a movie that most definitely is an experience, which is a lot of fun. I would agree something that had been brought up. There's more dialogue and there's more talking, so, it kind of lessens the blow of some of the suspense for me, which, I mean, I understand and I get that, like, obviously you're going to have to expand the story and meet new people and have a new dynamic there. But overall, I really enjoyed it. As has been said before, the directing was great. The acting was amazing. The thing that stood out to me more in the second one than the first one was the score. I really thought it was beautiful. I loved the way that it interacted with the scenes and with the characters. I would say, I don't know, in my opinion, like, anyway, this is probably more of a thing to be brought up in our other podcast, which is more about the survival aspect. So I'll table that and
Okay.
we'll get into that later.
That's a tease. Come back for the podcast if you want to with us try to figure out how do you survive round 2 of A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So go ahead and check that episode out. That will be coming out as well pretty soon. But yeah, overall, I would give this one, again, I think it was just more because it was less suspenseful, not because it was a bad movie or that I thought it was worse than the first one. I believe I originally gave it an 11. I'm going to back off a little bit and give it a 10. Still a great movie. Had a great time.
What a blow.
I know. You know what, John Krasinski? Hey, man, the only way we're going to settle this is if you come on the podcast. So I'm calling you out right now.
Gosh.
So there you go.
We've invited so many people on this podcast. Ironically, John Krasinski is a man that I genuinely want on the podcast.
Oh, 100%.
Can we please have a conversation? We can do a Zoom interview, whatever you want to do, John. I really want to talk about the work you did here. It's great. And genuinely, the disparity in scores, I feel like for both me and Lanson has a lot to do with expectations. And just we were hoping for more scares, and it didn't end up being that kind of movie. Still a great movie, very successful in what it wants to be. It just wasn't what we thought it was going to be. We thought it would be all out scares, chills, and thrills, but you went more emotional, so I don't know. You get docked to point, I guess.
Talk about emotions and dynamics and characters and development. Whatever.
Whatever, nerd.
Whatever, nerd Krasinski. Anyway,
real name, Nerd Krasinski.
It's not John. He changed it to John. But anyway, guys, appreciate it. Go watch the film. It's definitely worth watching, worth going to see in the theaters. If you're able to do that, do it. It's awesome. But yeah, let us know what you guys thought of it, and please stay tuned for the episode that we have.
Please stay tuned for The Office.
Please stay tuned for an episode of The Office.
And then I'm going to edit in an entire episode of The Office, and we're going to get very sued.
Again, John Krasinski, you want to make something happen?
Any press is good press, am I right?
Yeah.
That's true.
But anyway, guys, thank you very much. We'll catch you next time.